The Dallas Cowboys are roughly about halfway through their training camp period, and now we have our first official look at the Dallas Cowboys 2024 depth chart, and it actually includes some interesting guys listed as starters. Let's get right into this, but first, a quick bit of housekeeping. Some of y'all have to improve your level of discernment. On yesterday's show, there was people commenting about, oh, we don't want you to be negative. We want you to be the positive light of positivity and all this other. Hey, man, sometimes I'm going to get up here and have a discussion with you guys. Sometimes I'm going to get up here and mirror how some of the fan base is feeling about what's going on. Sometimes I'm going to get up here simply to entertain you guys. Y'all are taking me way too seriously with how some of these segments and shows are done, and it's a little bit annoying because the last thing I want to be seeing is anybody in the comments trying to tell me what I'm supposed to be doing with my platform. But now that that's out the way, let's get right into the depth chart for the 2024 season. All right, so here we go. 2024 Dallas Cowboys unofficial depth chart. Wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Tolbert, Brandon Cooks. As expected, seems like Jalen Tolbert has solidified himself as that wide receiver 3, and in training camp, he's done himself all the favors in the world. By all accounts, Jalen Tolbert is having an incredibly strong training camp, and all of that extra time that he put in this offseason with Brandon Cooks and Dak Prescott seems to be paying off, but hopefully we can see all of that still translate onto the field this season. So remember, we're in training camp, y'all. We're not going to be like some of these fans out here that instantly start predicting Super Bowls and all pro seasons for dudes off of training camp clips. All right, so we're keeping everything in perspective. Jalen Tolbert having an excellent training camp, but by the time that season starts, all that stuff goes out the window and he has to pretty much prove himself all over again. But Jalen Tolbert right there, and then based on how the rest of the receivers are listed, I would assume Jalen Brooks is probably wide receiver 4, and then Kevontae Turpin, wide receiver 5, Jalen Cropper looks like wide receiver 6, and then it looks like after Jalen Cropper is Tyron Billy Johnson. All right, so right now, as far as guys that are probably going to be on the outside looking in by the time the season starts, I'm thinking as far as receivers go, the first cut. This is going to be my 53-man roster prediction as well, as far as different cuts and stuff that I think are being made at different positions. You can expect to see about 5 to 6 receivers on the roster for the full 53. About 5 of those guys are going to dress up every game. So if I'm looking at this depth chart right now and how it's positioned, and I'm trying to figure out who are going to be those 5 to 6 guys, it looks like obviously CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Jalen Tolbert, Jalen Brooks looks like wide receiver 4 right now. Kevontae Turpin looks like wide receiver 5 right now, / the slot guy or gadget guy, whatever you want to call him. Then Jalen Cropper looks like he's number 6 right now on the depth chart, just based off of how this stuff is listed. And then Tyron Billy Johnson right behind Jalen Cropper. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if we've seen Racey McMath, Deontay Burnett, Cam Johnson, David Durden, Kelvin Harmon, all those guys. I wouldn't be surprised we end up seeing all those guys get cut. Ryan Flanoy, Jalen Cropper, Tyron Billy Johnson, to me, those are going to be the guys that are battling for that wide receiver 6 spot essentially on the roster. Even if they can't get them to the 53, I think Tyron Billy Johnson has for sure got himself a job somewhere, whether it be with the Cowboys or he gets assigned to the practice squad. I don't think that he's just going to start the season sitting on his couch just based on how he's been performing in the training camp right now. Jalen Cropper, I think they really like Jalen Cropper. I've been seeing a lot of good stuff from him. Jalen Cropper's been practicing with the ones. I've been seeing him catch balls from Dak Prescott quite a bit in training camp. So I think Jalen Cropper is probably going to be another guy that ends up making his roster. And Ryan Flanoy, Tyron Billy Johnson. I think that they're going to keep Ryan Flanoy around because they drafted him, but a couple of these guys are going to be practice squad, and they're going to be at risk of getting snatched up by other teams. So it'll be very interesting to see what they do with the wide receiver room because there's so many. There's so many of these guys in here right now, right? Really not worried about David Durden, Kelvin Harmon, Deontay Burnett, Racey McMath. Those guys, to me, are probably a guarantee that they're not going to be on this roster. But I think it gets pretty interesting when you look at Ryan Flanoy, Tyron Billy Johnson, right? I think that's where it gets kind of interesting. But that's the wide receiver room. Those are my predicted cuts. Those are the guys I think are on the bubble. Quarterbacks, obviously, Dak Prescott. Cooper Rush is still listed as quarterback 2 right now on this depth chart, and then Trey Lance. I'm telling y'all, okay, here's my thought process with this. unless the Cowboys truly plan on having Trey Lance as their quarterback of the future at some point, which I would argue that would be the worst case scenario, because even if they wanted to move on from Dak Prescott as an organization, they would be much better off drafting a fresh rookie on a fresh deal, because at the end of the day, that fresh rookie on a fresh rookie deal essentially has the same level of experience that Trey Lance has. So you're not losing anything. That dude's going to be younger and he's going to cost less than the Trey Lance will. Even if Trey Lance comes back here next season on a discounted deal, which I don't think that he is. I think that there's going to be a team out there that's going to allow him to compete for a starting quarterback job, and they're going to pay him $10 to $15 million a season to come over there and try to compete for that job. And Trey Lance is going to take that, and he's not going to be in Dallas next season because his contract is up after this season. And so here's the way I'm thinking about this. What is the purpose of forcing Trey Lance into your quarterback 2 position if he's not going to be here after next season anyways, and Cooper Rush could be here? Cooper Rush is willing and will take a discounted deal to stay in Dallas. Cooper Rush knows the system. Cooper Rush runs this offense better than Trey Lance right now. And at the end of the day, what is the point of having Trey Lance sitting on your bench if they re-sign Dak Prescott and he's here for another 3 or 4 seasons, and Trey Lance is sitting on the bench for another 3 or 4 seasons? That means Trey Lance will be 29 years old almost before he ever had a chance to even start for the Cowboys. Just get a rookie. Let Cooper Rush be our quarterback 2. Trade Trey Lance, because he actually still has some value because of the unknown factor. Even though I think a lot of people have kind of figured out that Trey Lance is a serious project, he still has that unknown factor to where there's going to be some bad teams, bad front offices in the league that will be willing to give up some type of draft capital for this dude, whether it's a 5th or 6th or whatever it is. You can get something for Trey Lance. I don't think you can get anything for Cooper Rush. I think you let Cooper Rush be your QB2, man. You trade Trey Lance at some point this season, during the season. If he doesn't get any better and do anything to really show you that he needs to be the QB2, you trade him and get some draft capital back, so it's not a completely wasted 4th round draft pick that you traded for this man, bro. Get your investment back. Get your return on investment, because as of right now, they're getting no return on investment for Trey Lance. He's not helping this team in any form, shape, or fashion as of right now. So get your return on investment. Trade Trey Lance. He's not QB2 right now, listed on the first depth chart. We're halfway through training camp already. Trade Trey Lance and let's move on. Let's cut our ties. But that's the quarterback room. Interesting to me that Trey Lance hasn't moved up yet. That's just something I want to keep an eye on. Tight ends: Jake Ferguson, Luke Schoonmaker, Peyton Hendershot, John Stevens. Looks like the 4 tight ends that the Cowboys will likely take into the season. Princeton Fant, Brevin Spanford, and Alec Holler. Alec Holler is definitely going to be a casualty. I think Brevin Spanford is going to end up being one of those practice squad guys. I think that Princeton Fant may end up being one of those practice squad guys, because Princeton Fant has actually been called out by name, I believe, by Coach McCarthy as having a good camp so far. And Brevin Spanford, great blocking, physical tight end. I think they're going to have some use for him. I mean, especially if our guys keep getting hurt. I think Schoonmaker is hurt right now. I think he got hurt already. This dude cannot stay healthy, and one of your best abilities on the field, especially NFL football field, is availability. Schoonmaker can't stay healthy. So if Schoonmaker can't stay healthy, then I'm thinking that it would look something like Jake Ferguson, Peyton Hendershot, John Stevens, and then you may see a Princeton Fant or a Brevin Spanford right there at that tight end 4 spot. And Luke Schoonmaker could be at risk of being a surprise cut this offseason. I wouldn't be surprised at all, because he's been unhealthy. The offensive line, there's some intrigue here. Tyler Guyton is still not listed as the starting left tackle, but remember, Tyler Guyton has also been out of practice the last couple of days with an illness. He's not injured or anything. He was just sick. So he's missed some reps. He's missed some chances to get out there with the first team offense. And right now, as of right now, Chuma Edoga is listed as the starting left tackle. I can tell y'all right now, by the time the season starts, I doubt that it will be like that, because Chuma has been getting ate up at training camp, and it seems like every clip I see of Chuma Edoga, he's had a couple of good reps. I'm not gonna sit here and act like he's just been getting blown up the whole time. He's had a few good reps, but I've been seeing Chuma get blown up no matter whether it's Micah or Neeland or whoever it is. They've been blowing this dude up, bro. So Chuma kind of worries me a little bit. Not going to lie. I think Shaker Tony even blew him up yesterday in practice. So I can't wait for them to finally, put the real starter right here, which is going to be Tyler Guyton ultimately. Tyler Smith, obviously at left guard. They got TJ Bass listed as a left guard. Brock Hoffman and Cooper Beebe. All right, so Brock Hoffman is listed as the starting center right now. Cooper Beebe right behind him. Again, I suspect that Cooper Beebe could end up being like the right guard of the future after Zach Martin leaves. They like TJ Bass a lot, but I feel like Cooper Beebe probably is going to have that spot. He's a more premium guy, has more pedigree, and I just think Cooper Beebe is a stud. I think when he finally gets a chance to get out there on the field, he's an absolute stud. Let Cooper Beebe work out his demons on the bench behind Brock Hoffman. Brock Hoffman, to me, is a serviceable enough center to where we can get away with playing him. I think that he's going to play up to the level of Tyler Biadasz. Personally, I think Brock Hoffman gives us no drop-off from Tyler Biadasz, so I think we'll be perfectly fine there. And then obviously Zach Martin, right guard, Terrence Steele, right tackle, right? So the line looks pretty much like we thought it would look, and it looks like how it looked coming into training camp, and Chuma needs to be replaced. I'm sorry, we just can't go into the season like this. And in the running back room, the very, very, very full running back room. The running back room, to me, is probably going to be one of the most interesting position battles in all of training camp because there's so many dudes fighting to be a part of this committee. I think Ezekiel Elliott, Rico Dowdle are both guarantees to be on this roster. I think Hunter Lepke is a guarantee to be on this roster. They've been using him a lot more as a lead blocker coming out of the backfield. He's been catching passes out of the backfield. He's been running the ball. I think Hunter Lepke, they're going to have more of a built plan for him. And like I said in one of my previous videos, I would love to see the Cowboys turn Hunter Lepke into our version of a Kyle Juszczyk from the 49ers, right? But Ezekiel Elliott, Rico Dowdle, Hunter Lepke, I believe are pinned in on the roster already. Royce Freeman just got hurt with a groin injury, so it is possible that groin injury takes him off of this roster depending on how bad it is. It is possible that he loses his position based off of that. So we'll put a question mark beside a Royce Freeman, even though I thought that originally when he was healthy, I thought he was one of the guys that was guaranteed to be on this roster by the time the season started. But that groin injury, bro, groin injuries for a running back, that is scary, right? Malik Davis also, and then Deuce Vaughn. Malik Davis and Deuce Vaughn are interesting to me. Deuce Vaughn has also missed practice. He's been hurt, I believe, and Mike McCarthy actually directly mentioned the fact that Deuce Vaughn is missing valuable reps and chances for him to get snaps and reps in as a receiver and work on some of his receiver sets, and he's missing valuable time. Just based off of the last thing that Mike McCarthy said about Deuce Vaughn, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, it sounded like Deuce could be in danger of losing his position on this roster, and the feel-good story may be coming to a close just based off of Mike McCarthy looking at how they're trying to use him. They don't think that he's the running back, so they're trying to get him to find value in other places, whether it be receiving out of the backfield or whatever it is. They're trying to use Deuce Vaughn in different ways, and I think that Deuce Vaughn is in danger of not being on this roster. So Deuce Vaughn, Snoop Connor, Nathaniel Pete, I think those guys are probably all going to end up being casualties of being cut. And I think Malik Davis is probably going to be that third, fourth running back on the depth chart. Hunter Lepke obviously going to end up being our starting fullback, but I think Malik Davis is going to be that guy that gets that position. And our running back room will look something like Ezekiel Elliott, Rico Dowdle, Malik Davis, Hunter Lepke at the end of the day. That's my predictions, right? Now, moving to the defense. DeMarcus Lawrence, obviously starting defensive end. Nose tackle, Mozzie Smith, listed right behind him is Carl Davis and then Justin Rogers. Defensive tackle, Osa Odigizua, and then Micah Parsons is listed as a defensive end on this depth chart. So Micah Parsons, Sam Williams, he's injured though, and then Marshawn Kneeland is actually listed as third on the defensive end depth chart. Obviously, he's going to be second, and then that means he's going to be starting in that position in certain situations, or at least he's going to be on the field on certain drives, because when Micah's at that off-ball linebacker position, that's where you're going to see someone like a Marshawn Kneeland slide in, and you'll see him getting some reps in. So interesting there. Then obviously Tyrus Reed, Shekatoni as well. So the two new signings, Shekatoni and Al-Quadin Muhammad, as expected, are at the end of the depth chart for their respective positions. This was kind of interesting to me. The linebackers listed as being starters right now kind of caught me off guard. I'm not going to lie to you. Maurice Luafau is listed as a starter right now. Eric Kendricks and Damone Clark. Who are we missing? DeMarvion Overshown. Now, could this be a function of, oh, he's working his way back from injury, don't want to just shoehorn him in there until we know for sure that he's ready to go? could be that situation, or it could show us that Maurice Luafau is having an excellent training camp. To be a rookie and scheduled to be a starter right now, he's the only rookie. He's the only rookie on the entire roster that is penciled in as a starter right now, including our first and second rounders. Maurice Luafau is the only rookie that has been penciled in as a starter. I think that is very, very interesting. I think that shows just how good the dude's been in training camp so far. DeMarvion Overshown is also someone that's been having a huge spotlight on him, and everybody's been saying that good things about DeMarvion Overshown. So it's surprising that he's not listed as the starter as of right now, especially since Maurice is a rookie. This is really surprising right here to me. This is probably the most surprising listing that I saw on the whole depth chart, was DeMarvion Overshown not being listed as the starter. But you can see we got Maurice, Eric Kendricks, and Damone Clark listed here. And Willie Harvey Jr., the UFL guy, seems to be right behind Damone Clark on the depth chart. So that we're going to end up seeing this dude on the field at some point this season. Damian Wilson, DeMarvion Overshown, those are other guys. The linebacker room has gotten thick. They've signed even more linebackers since this has come out. But yeah, then moving on, we got the cornerbacks, obviously Trevon Diggs and Deron Bland, and then we got Jordan Lewis listed as our nickel corner. All right, so Trevon Diggs, Deron Bland, expected for them to be starters. Right behind Trevon, though, is Nashawn Wright. That concerns me a little bit because Nashawn has been getting toe up at training camp this offseason. And right behind Deron Bland is Kalen Carson. All right, so Kalen Carson, the rookie, right behind Deron Bland on that depth chart. They got him playing outside. So we have an idea of how they want to use Kalen Carson. They have him playing outside. He isn't even listed as a nickel corner. So they're going to be using Kalen Carson outside the numbers. I really, really like that. And then the safeties that are currently listed are Donovan Wilson and Malik Hooker. Malik Hooker and Donovan Wilson are the starting safeties as of right now with this depth chart. Marquise Bell, Wanye Thomas on the depth chart right behind those guys, all right? So it's possible we end up seeing some movement right there. I think Israel Mukuamu has got injured recently, so he's in danger to me of losing his position on this team, especially with guys like Julius Wood and Imani Johnson out there just hanging out. Israel Mukuamu with the injuries and just him being unable to actually get on the field or having opportunities to get on the field, I think he's going to time himself out in Dallas here. And then obviously you got the special teamers, Kevontae Turpin listed as our kick returner and punt returner. Rico Dowdle listed as the other kick returner, because remember there's two of those guys back there now. And then Jalen Cropper listed as the backup punt returner as of right now. Jalen Cropper is the backup punt returner, and something that's interesting, Deuce Vaughn is third on both of those lists. Ladies and gentlemen, I think Deuce Vaughn is in serious jeopardy of losing his position on his roster. I'm just gonna be completely honest with y'all. But that is the 2024 Dallas Cowboys unofficial depth chart and my thoughts and ideas as far as who I think will get cut, who will make the team, all that good stuff. Let me know down in the comments below, what was the most surprising listing that you saw on this depth chart? And who do you think are going to be the guys that are going to be left on the outside looking in? Let me know down in the comments below. We speak from same old cow.
Calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still the ball? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still them boys. Hey! Woo! Hey! I'm still them boys.